Hello again, I'm Doug Smith. This is the latest edition of Portsmouth This Week, the voice of Portsmouth Town Hall. Our guest today is Chief Tom Lee, the Chief of the Portsmouth Police Department. Welcome, Tom. Welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks for having me on.
It seems like time flies, and I'm sure it seems that way for you, but you've been in the job for just about a year now.
I can't believe how fast it's gone.
No.
About a year. Last September, I was appointed.
There you go.
So it's been a year.
So I just wondered, how do you think you're doing at the end of the year?
You know, I think I've been doing pretty well. I mean, it's a team. I don't just see it as the chief's doing well. I see it as the police department's doing well. But with our men and women in the Portsmouth Police Department, I think it's worked out well.
Yeah, that's great. How would you generally assess the public safety environment in Portsmouth? I mean, it doesn't seem like it's a major crime area, but...
Well, we have a low rate of violent crime. We're one of the safest communities in the state of Rhode Island. I think we were seventh safest last year, and we're looking to raise that even higher. But we do have, and I don't mean to imply that nothing happens in Portsmouth. There is always going to be crime.
What kind of crimes are you talking about? Traffic violations?
Traffic, most of our crime revolves around traffic, and our community complaints revolve around traffic. We have two major roads cutting through town. Last year we had over 550 accidents with damages or injuries, and two fatals. So that's a big part. Most of our community complaints actually revolve around drivers, usually speeding in neighborhoods. That's the #1 complaint we receive from the public.
Yeah. I would think too, because we're a place that people drive through, so we get a lot of outside people going to Newport, going up to the Cape, etc., like that. So it may not necessarily be Portsmouth people involved in this, but they're just...
Yeah, we have people driving through, obviously, maybe people coming back from Newport that had too much to imbibe. They get in accidents, bad things happen. Absolutely.
One of the, I was sort of personally touched, at least, by a recent spate of kind of break-ins, and it seems like minor stuff, almost maybe kids stuff, but maybe not up in the Pecasset Heights neighborhood.
Yep.
We had a couple of break-ins, a couple of minor thefts, things stolen out of cars. I just wondered, have there been what's the status of that case, and have there been any arrests, or do you have any idea who's been causing this?
That was an unusual, in the sense that it was concentrated pretty much in that Pecasset Heights area, and going up Bristol Ferry Road too.
Yeah.
We had 16 car breaks in a fairly short period of time, which was very unusual for Portsmouth. We didn't have a direct arrest related to that. We have some ideas of who might be involved. The other thing is, just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. Now, we put out undercover officers. We did a lot of things behind the scenes trying to catch the perpetrator. Obviously, we put the word out to the public to make sure people were calling us. We had, in one occasion, someone heard their car alarm went off at 4 in the morning and thought that just an accidental alarm didn't go out, just reset it, and then the next morning they found out their car had been broken into.
Yeah. So they should have listened to their car alarm. And
people were leaving, unfortunately, expensive items in their cars. Mostly all of them involve people leaving like an iPad or a laptop, you know, in plain view in their vehicle.
Yeah, GPS.
Yes,
like that.
GPS. Someone left their pocketbook in the car. And these are crimes of opportunity. So someone was obviously going through and looking in cars at night, and if they saw an expensive item, they were breaking the window. Yeah,
I think it's a very safe neighborhood, and
it is.
We've been very lucky in that we haven't had much of this stuff, so that's why it came kind of as a shock that when the word came out on this thing. Do you think it was a real criminal enterprise, or could it be kids?
I think it's somebody who's addicted to drugs and looking for quick items to sell. That's my personal opinion. Yeah. It's someone, I mean, we've had this whole area, this whole southeast coast has had a huge heroin problem. And my belief, it was somebody addicted to drugs looking for quick items. Based on the items stolen, part of the manner, it wasn't, certainly not a professional, more likely either a person on drugs or a kid. Just breaking glass. People kept saying, how come no one's called the police? Why? They all have air conditioners on. If you think a couple of weeks ago, last couple of weeks of August when it was happening, everyone's running air conditioners, no one's hearing the car brakes. And it was happening late at night, between like say 3 and say 6 in the morning. Very odd time too, where it was happening.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple high school kids that I know, and they don't think it was just prank kind of stuff. Again, I think they think it's got something to do related to drugs or something bigger than that.
Yeah, I don't think it was a prank either.
Yeah. But that was kind of unusual then for the Pocasset Heights area. Have you seen it in other areas
we have,
since then? Or?
Not since then. At the beginning of, the end of last year, we had a few in a row down around the Oakland Farms area. Again, just odd that we were concentrated in one specific neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I know that over the summer, Tiverton had, I think they had 60 in Tiverton. So we've been working with their detectives. They had a real lot over the summer in a concentrated area too.
Yeah, we got the word out to some of the folks at the bottom of our street who were broken into, including somebody that just moved in, which is kind of tough. But you know, we asked people to keep an eye if you see cars going by slowly or something suspicious that you consider strange in the neighborhood to report it to you guys.
Yeah.
Call
well, you know, there's a lot of people out during even early evening time, early morning hours, walking in the neighborhood. They're walking their dogs.
Yeah.
But during that time period, that's say 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. when they were coming in, when the breaks were happening, there's usually not many people out at that time.
Yeah, I was thinking they might be casing, you know, looking for, but you're right. They could probably do that early in the morning, just as easy, and see what's out there. This was not a major, like you say, a major crime wave by any stretch of the imagination. I think the fact that you guys added patrols and started looking into it and publicizing it probably
it did seem to stop right after we started publicizing that it was going on and put the extra patrols out, which are always helpful. Even if we don't catch the perpetrator, the fact that we've got 2 cars down in a quiet neighborhood, that's going to deter it right there.
Yeah, and that's always good. It always shows the citizens when you guys drive by. We like to see you in our neighborhoods. Looking at the bigger picture here in Portsmouth, what are some of the key issues that you've had to grapple with over the past years? In many ways, we're always in the middle of some kind of contentious issues in Portsmouth.
You know, it's one of the big challenges has just been dealing with tight budgets. There's things we'd like to do in training, equipment. We simply haven't had the funding. Our cruisers are in tough shape. We've got a couple of new ones, the town, but there's a problem with many of our older cars need to be replaced. And it's something, just the financial side challenges and budget challenges are a continuing concern.
Yeah. How about people? Are we fully staffed?
No, we're actually down a few offices also. We're in the process now of filling those openings. We've got a couple of openings, and we hope to hire a few officers coming up and putting them in the academy. But that's a long process. The academy now is 6 months.
Wow. So that ties up.
Yes.
Somebody's not on the streets.
Yeah, we don't put them out in the street without training anymore like the old days. I mean, they go through 6 months now.
Yeah. How many people total do we have in the department, and is it enough?
Well, right now we have 31. We usually have either 34 or 33 has been our standard for many, many years. So we're down below what we would normally carry. It's tough to say whether we have enough officers. I mean, if you look at Middletown, we have a similar rate of call. They have 40 officers. So it's, if you look at the amount of calls, too, we're taking, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, we're about 20,000 total calls for service. Last year, we're 28,000.
Yeah.
That's a huge increase. Now, they're not all crimes, but people call the Portsmouth police just for about everything.
Yeah. Well, it's good.
And we're a community police, and we expect you to call. If a neighbor has an issue, you do call the police, and we'll go down and see what we can do for it.
It seems like one of the issues is our population is not gigantic, but we have have to cover a big area. And it probably is a little bit easier for Middletown with a smaller, more compact footprint to patrol and do things in that area than it is for our guys spread out all over this.
We're spread out. We have a larger
northern part of the island.
We have a larger population than Middletown.
Yeah. So, well, good luck. I'm sure you can make that case to the town council and see what happens in the next couple of years. I wish you luck.
And again, the council's been supportive, but it's a challenge. I mean, these have been tough budget years, tough economic years for the last few years.
And they're not going to change. It's
Yeah.
going to be like that going forward. And I think everybody's got to pull together. And it seems like everybody's starting to do that now in the town, which is gratifying for a citizen. What kind of priorities do you have for the year coming up?
Well, for this upcoming year, I have been working on police getting us accredited. They have a statewide accreditation
Yeah, I
in Rhode
remember
Island.
talking to you about that last
So that's one of our priorities. I've appointed an accreditation manager, Sergeant Scott Travis, who's been on this program,
Sure.
by the way. Scott has been behind the scenes working on this now for us. We hope to accomplish this project during the year. And it's a long process also to be accredited.
I noticed you have been doing a lot with community engagement.
Yeah, that's one of the things where I think over the years the police department has had cutbacks and kind of gotten away from doing a strong community policing program, and that's one of the things that I've brought back.
Now, what does that entail? I know you do the police academy, which was very popular, oversubscribed, I think. This time.
Absolutely oversubscribed.
But what else does that community policing entail?
Well, a lot of it is, having Sergeant Travis go out and speak to elderly residents in small groups, talk about crime prevention with different groups. We did a bicycle safety rodeo with the Boy Scouts. It's a lot of smaller, positive interaction with residents. We were down. I don't know if you saw in the paper. We played the kids from Father Flanagan's in basketball.
Yes, I did.
That was because they challenged us. I was at a cookout down there with the kids, and they wanted to know if we had a basketball team, and we said, "Well, I can put one together."
There you go.
And that was a good time. And again, it's basic community police, and sometimes we see these kids in less than ideal circumstances, and it was good for them to see us and for both sides to see each other in a different light and interact each other positively. And we had a good time, and the kids did too.
Now, has there ever been any thought to something like a neighborhood watch or anything, or don't you think we need anything like that?
You know, over the years, they've been some in town in some areas. That's something where we certainly would encourage it if the residents were interested. Part of the issue is with not a lot of crime.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, I would justify that.
Yeah, I mean, really, it would be in an area, say, where we just recently, like Pocasset Heights, where you had something happening in a small area with a lot of break-ins. That's car break-ins. That's where more likely you would have a neighborhood watch come up.
Yeah.
And something if people were interested in, we could certainly work with them and help them.
We have something like that in place now, and I'm hoping to make you a member of that of our neighborhood. But let me first mention or go back to the police academy, because I know there are people out there who would like to sign up for this thing when it comes out next. How long is it, and when do you plan to do the next one?
Well, it's 10 weeks long, and we plan to do the next one coming up in the spring.
Okay. So nothing for the rest of the fall season here?
Yeah,
it's pretty intensive on your people.
It is. We were looking to see if we could do a second one in the fall, but it just, with time restraints and training our officers, we got to put that as a priority.
Sure.
So we will do it in the spring, probably in March again. And we'll certainly do public notices. If people are interested now, they can certainly contact me at the station, and I'll put them on the list.
Okay. How many people can you take usually in a class?
We have kind of tight quarters. We'll give you a tour of the station later, and I'll show you. But we can only do 10 in our room, and even 10's a stretch. We'd originally planned to do 8, so I would say 8 to 10.
Okay, pretty small number. You should be keeping that thing filled up for the next couple of years.
Oh yes, yeah.
I think it's pretty.
Just to
popular.
go through the folks we have on the list now, it's a couple of years out.
Absolutely. One of the things that I've really applaud you for is the use of social media. I know you guys have been on Facebook, and I think we should encourage everybody to kind of like the Portsmouth Police Department on their Facebook page, because they do get information about what's going on, and I think that's really great. Have you given it? How do you assess the use of Facebook? How has it been going? And have you ever considered going also maybe to Twitter feed or something?
We are looking at Twitter. We have a Twitter account. We're just really getting that up and going now.
Yeah.
We were really trying to just grow the Facebook page initially, and that's done well. I think we're up to like 980 likes as of yesterday. So our goal was to get 1,000. We're almost there for our first year. some of our posts have reached a large number of people. We had one of our posts reached 15,000 views.
Wow.
So that's a lot.
Yeah. And that's a way that people wouldn't have had before this kind of media.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The aspect of sharing it, like someone gets it, they share it with another person. So we've gotten a lot of information out. We've got a lot of positive feedback from our Facebook page.
Yeah, I mentioned that in the Pocasset Heights neighborhood, we have this thing called Nextdoor, and it's like an online neighborhood watch kind of thing. But it's also just for selling things, for asking about contractors and things like that. But it's really good for public safety stuff. In fact, that's what happened. First, I heard about these break-ins where somebody posting something on that online. Right now, we have 41 houses in the area that are connected to this thing, and you just get an automatic email. You don't have to do anything. There's no heavy lifting. The one thing, though, that we learned during the 375th year last year was that to reach people, there are a lot of people that, one, don't use computers. There are a lot of people that don't read the newspapers, apparently. I'm kind of amazed about that. You almost have to go to every one of those, plus anything else you can think of. And I think you talked about a couple, putting a sign up at the police station.
We actually put one of those flashing signs up. What it says, watch your valuables.
But you have to do that.
You have to do that, and you're right. We do our major papers, the Secaucus Times, Newport Daily News. We give them a press release when something.
And they're very good about putting things in.
Oh, they're excellent. Both papers are excellent at putting things in. But you're right. I don't think as many people read the traditional media as in the past. People say, why don't you put it on television? I said, well, we send it out to, say, Channel 12, Channel 10, our local channels, but they don't put everything that they get on the, into a news story.
Yeah,
we don't control the media.
No, it's got to reach their criteria level, or whatever it is.
Where they're going to broadcast.
Yeah. While I was trying to sort of put together these questions, it struck me in this area that there might be a possibility, it's just a thought, that there might be a possibility for volunteers in some way to help you, particularly in the getting the word out mode on things. And I just wondered if you've ever considered either an auxiliary or some kind of volunteer group, even an advisory group or of some kind, at the police department to help you guys do some of this stuff.
Well, that's something. That's something I've certainly considered.
I'm not looking for a job.
Yeah. If you're looking to volunteer. Well, many police departments have like a citizen advisory council, a neighborhood advisory council, where you have people from the different neighborhoods. They meet regularly, like once a month with the police chief, and they would bring that out to all their neighborhood groups with something's going on. So that's something where I've thought about establishing that, and that might be coming in the future where we do something like that, and then the neighborhood leaders would put the information out that they received.
We also found we do in the Emergency Operations Center, there's this group called the IPI team. I can't remember what it stands for. Internet Public Information Team. And we do that kind of stuff for emergency situations with Facebook and Twitter. And the problem is, in between emergencies, the people that man the thing, guys like me, forget how to use this. And then Facebook and Twitter change a little bit. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're reinventing the wheel all over again. But if you ever think that there's a need for something like that, one of the things we do have, I think, in Portsmouth are some people that would help volunteer if it would do the work if you think you need something like that. So just let us know, and we can put something together for you to consider at least.
Oh, thanks, Doug.
Be worth doing. I noticed you also have established a computer crimes person in the department to just look at those kind of things. That's kind of interesting to me because I often wondered, how does someone report scams and things like that?
Well, because of, obviously, with the growth of the internet, with the major means of communication now becoming computers, and a means of facilitating crime is computers, I've established a computer crimes unit, which people are surprised in a small town. But what I've done is one of our detectives, Detective Mike Morse, he's very computer literate. Mike actually does the Facebook page. Mike does Twitter for me. Mike's actually my computer guy. People think that I'm the computer person. I'm not. It's Detective Mike Morse. And Mike was working with the state police on on some internet crime where pornographic pictures of young children were displayed and disseminated. As a result of that investigation, Mike was working with the state police, who have a computer crimes unit, and they have a task force, and asked us if we'd like to participate in it. So 2 days a week, Mike's working with the state police on the computer crimes task force, and they do all of the training, equipping for Mike. So it's been a great partnership with the state police, with the Rhode Island State Police. And Mike's, he brings a lot to the table. In fact, they just got an award last night from the Attorney General's office, the Rhode Island Computer Crimes Task Force, on some of the investigations they've done. And our detective Mike Morse is part of it.
Okay, now if somebody...
And a lot of what we get now is the frauds.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's...
we had a number of complaints over the summer on phony rental property, where people put an ad up on, you know...
Right, and they get a down payment and they're gone.
And they're gone. And everything's phony, and there's no cottage sitting there by the ocean for $400 like they thought they were going to get.
So if people think they've been scammed, or they have a question, or they're concerned about something, can they contact you guys?
Yes, absolutely. They can contact either myself directly, and I'll give it to Detective Mike Morse, or contact Detective Morse.
Okay, so they could always call the basic police number. What is it, 030?
Yeah.
683-0300?
683-0300. Call that number. That's actually the easiest way. Call that number, and they can ask.
Leave a message and get in contact with them. Yeah.
And a lot of what we've seen now, too, what we've had Mike working on is, in terms of the social media, is bullying and things like that for our young people. Yeah. It's amazing how much of that goes on behind the scenes, and Mike actually works a lot on that, where kids are threatening other kids, you know, through either tweets or just the type of stuff that happens is all using now electronics. It's Facebook threats.
And the difference is there's a record of it.
There's a record of it, yes.
It stays there, and that's interesting, and it's something that's really needed, I think, and as we move forward with this kind of society. I think it's great that you moved into that area, and because I never thought there was any place you could complain to. You know, the internet's so big, but that's great. So just call 683-0300. Yeah. And ask for Mike for the computer guy.
Ask for Mike. And some of the ones where it'll happen elsewhere, we might have to have another police agency that actually will do the investigation.
Yeah.
But we'll certainly start it here.
It's a way to get into the system. Okay, super. One other topic I wanted to just ask quickly about was the municipal court in Portsmouth. I realize it's kind of just getting off the ground.
Yeah, the municipal court is just getting started. And we don't have our traffic citations go there. We still use the Rhode Island Traffic Tribunal. So it's really, this is a work in progress. The court's growing, it's expanding. We're not like Newport, where we have 100 drinking violations over a weekend. You know, public drinking, people walking through the streets with beer, which is a good thing that we don't have it. So we don't have a lot of municipal cases yet coming in. Really, it's been a few neighborhood disputes where it gives neighbors an outlet where they can go and hopefully have their problems adjudicated.
Yeah. So the theory would, at least initially, was one of the ways that the police department would benefit was by not having to send your officers up to Providence to go to these court hearings up there when you could do it right here in town. Has that worked out at all, or is that still something? Primarily, maybe traffic violations, which we
still have to go. We still have to go for traffic violations to some of our different courts. But what we're doing now is kind of adopting. We're even creating paperwork. This is when we say the court's just coming up. We're making up a summons form. It's really coming together, though, I think, and will in the future. But say, like if the harbor master writes a violation, we're putting all of those violations in the future now to our municipal court. Same thing for animal control. So that'll save them from having to travel to district court or go down to Newport. This is going to put them back into a municipal court.
Well, I always thought the idea of taking the revenue from speeding tickets back into our town would be kind of nice.
Yeah, well, we do get money back from tickets.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you ran your own court, it would be more.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of costs involved, from what I understand, on establishing the court for traffic violations. It's pretty expensive.
Yeah. Well, we'll see this thing develop, and in fact, at some point, I'd like to get the judge back on, maybe to talk a little about where it is,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. It's something we can certainly keep our eye on, I think. We're going to be filming a little bit at the police station shortly, and I just wonder if you want to talk a little bit about that building, how old it is. And it's old, it's small, it's congested. It's probably, parts of it look like they're unsafe even. But I just wonder, what do you think about it?
It's funny you mentioned parts are unsafe, because we had the fire department up on our roof yesterday. We had 3 gas leaks in the building. We have an old pipe coming in, and I guess it had rusted out in a couple of spots, and it's a constant struggle with that building. It was built in the early 70s. It was built for 17 people total. And we have twice that number now in the police department.
And that was probably before you had women police officers
It was
as well,
before,
right?
Actually, the back part of that building was added when they added women police officers. There was no female locker room. And they built a female locker room with only 4 lockers. Well, we have 4 female employees at the police department now. Right. If we get a 5th one, we're going to have to expand anyhow. But the building itself, it's in need of either renovation or replacement. The good thing is our town administrator, John Klimm, realizes that fact. John had just recommended that we do a study on it, and the town council supported the study and has appropriated money to do a study coming up this year.
Okay.
So they're going to look, is it a replacement, a renovation? What's the best option? Does it include the fire department? You know, is it a public safety complex?
Yeah, I was going to say, that was my next question. If they look at both of them together.
And that's what they're going to do. They're going to look at both of them together, and Public Works is on our same lot.
Okay, that whole thing is one big lot.
That whole thing is one big lot. So
okay.
How does that tie in? How does it affect that building? So this study's coming up, Doug, and it's really needed.
Okay, that's great, because I think we'll show people when we get down there how small it is. It's kind of like walking into a different era, I think. It might have served well back in the day, but it needs work right now. And I would say similar things about the fire department, that they've been able to keep up with it just barely.
Yeah.
I think, I think part of the problem here, it seems, is that we just have outgrown this stuff, and nobody's ever budgeted any money for infrastructure, development here. Yeah. And it's not something that's fun to spend money on, but it's necessary.
And it is necessary, and it is a large investment.
I guess one of the things you came from a really big police department up in Boston, and what do you think after a year here? What are kind of like? How would you contrast the 2 jobs?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the funniest things that I keep asking, well, who does that? You do, Chief. There's no staff. It is basically me. So I was used to having a large staff. I had 2 secretaries in Boston. Yeah. I had 4 people that were directly administrative, did all my work. Now it's a little bit different, where it's very much hands-on, and you do it yourself here. Well,
I have to tell you, though, we're just about out of time, but I have to tell you, it's nice to be able to come in and actually talk to the chief without going through a whole bunch of other stuff.
Oh, yeah, and I do have an open door policy. Anyone wants to come in, come on in and see me.
Okay, that's great. We're out of time. Thank you, Chief, for coming in. We'll go down to the fire station, or the police station next. And this is Doug Smith signing off. We'll see you in the next edition of Portsmouth This Week. Thank you.